These are 9 pro tips that you need to start dominating in trios right away. If you're looking to step up your game, improve as a trio, or just learn how to play trios, this video is for you. I've been competing at the highest level for years and have amassed over $1.2 million in earnings. So I'm here to share with you what I've learned to help you dominate. I want to give a big shout out to Exelag for sponsoring today's video. You've spent hours perfecting your setup, a high-end mouse, the newest keyboard, and the fanciest monitor. But if your connection's laggy, none of that matters. Lag spikes, packet loss, and high ping. It's all stuff that we just accept. But it doesn't have to be that way. Your connection could be the weakest link in your setup and you wouldn't even know it. Exelag is a tool specifically built for gamers. It supports over 2,000 games with optimized servers across the world. Exelag uses AI-based routing to stabilize your connection, reduce your ping, and even boost your FPS. Setting up Exelag takes just under 2 minutes. Download, log in, and pick your game. Before I used Exelag, my ping would randomly spike during fights or in the endgame. Now it stays stable, and I don't have to worry about disconnects or input delay. It just runs in the background and does its job. And now with Exelag's newest deal, you can try it for free for 3 days with no strings attached. And if you think it helps your gameplay, there's a 6+6 deal going on right now. You pay for 6 months and you get 12. Use the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen now. Download Exelag, test it today, and feel the difference in your first match. Tip number 1, roles in trios. Every successful trio needs these 3 key roles: Fragger, the support player, and the IGL. Let's start with the support player, whose role is arguably the most dynamic and flexible role on the team. The support player's primary job is to make the IGL and Fragger play as smooth as possible during the game. Typically, the support player is a Fragger with a bit better game sense, someone who knows when to fight, when to rotate, and can make quick and smart decisions for the team when needed. Mechanically, the support player still needs to be solid, with good aim and editing skills to assist in fights. One way to find a good support player is by looking at their solo performance. If they can handle themselves under pressure in solos, they can usually transition well into a support role in trios.
Let's go, bro! Oh my god, yes!
Now, if you're a support player, here are some things you should be focusing on to be more effective for your team. First, always carry minis and medkits. Why? Because your teammates will often need quick heals, and having someone consistently carry the same items ensures that everyone knows where to go for them. In the endgame, your job is to assist the Fragger in finding refreshes while also securing the back of the tarp. The IGL leads the team, Fragger creates the opportunities, and you ensure the team doesn't get caught from behind. If the IGL goes down or gets hit hard, you need to step in and take over leading the tarp without hesitation. As a support player, you'll also need to listen clearly to both the Fragger and the IGL. You need to be able to understand how you can adjust your playstyle to help them be more effective. Next, let's talk about the Fragger. This role is all about mechanics and raw talent. The Fragger is a player who can turn any fight into a win. You're the one that's picking up eliminations, securing refreshes, and winning crucial engagements. Your teammates, both the IGL and support, will position you to find the best opportunities for eliminations. But it's not all just about following their lead. As a Fragger, you need to be proactive in fights and help create opportunities for your teammates to capitalize on them. Staying sharp is your top priority. That means constantly working on your mechanics and aim, even outside of tournaments. The competitive scene is always evolving, and there's always someone out there grinding to take your spot if you fall behind. During rotations, your positioning is critical. You should be positioned in the middle of your team, IGL leading in the front, support watching your back. In fights, your focus should be dealing damage, securing kills, and ensuring that your team isn't getting bullied in a fight versus another trio. If you're slacking on mechanics or aim, it's gonna show, and your team will struggle to keep up in highly competitive lobbies. Lastly, let's talk about the IGL. Becoming a good IGL is one of the most difficult things to master. You need to be patient and trust the process, as no great IGL has ever been made overnight. Not only are you leading your team in-game, but you also need to be leading your team outside of the game, making sure that they're doing the right things to keep your team on track for a successful future. That includes things like making sure they're showing up for scrims, staying after the VOD review, and continuing to work on their mechanics. These are just a few things that an IGL will need to take on in order to ensure his trio becomes successful. Next, let's talk about the 3 most important tips of what makes an IGL good and what are some key traits that you'll need to be looking for if you want to become an IGL. Tip number 1. For the first tip, you need to be thinking 5 steps ahead. This is absolutely crucial as an IGL. You need to constantly have all questions answered, knowing exactly what you want to do in any scenario. For the second tip, you need to be sufficient in tarping, and you need to have a good understanding of layers in the endgame. We'll be taking a deeper dive into layering in just a bit, but it's super important to continue to work on your mechanics so you can put your team in the right position to win. For the final tip, you need to become the full leader of the team. Speak with confidence and be assertive when needed. You need to make sure your team is on track to qualify and playing within the format. Confidence is key, and even if you don't know for sure if something is the right play, it's always better to do something together than separate. So be confident and make sure everyone is on the same page. Tip number 2, tarping. Tarping is one of the most crucial skills in trios, especially for the IGL. Tarping isn't just about building a path, it's about creating a safe rotation, controlling a side of zone, and managing your team's materials wisely. This is something that you can practice on your own in creative, and I highly recommend doing that to refine your skills. Make sure that you're confident in snake tarping, full tarping, and your ramp tarps. When you're tarping, you need to be able to find the right balance between full tarping and using minimal builds. For example, full tarping with brick or metal is necessary when you're under pressure, but in low pressure situations, keeping it simple is a great way to save mats. Next, anytime you're full tarping, you should always be checking height. This is your chance to spot weaknesses on height or even take it for free. Full tarping also allows your team to get a general update on what's around you and what's happening outside your tarp. Another key aspect of tarping is cutting other teams off. This is something that you can and should practice in creative. Cutting teams off is a very simple concept. The more piece control that you have on a team is more pressure that puts on them, which in turn will force them either up or down and off your layer entirely. Tip number 3, layering. Layering is another essential part of trio gameplay, and it's something that separates the good teams from the great ones. Choosing the right layer, whether that's low ground, mid ground, or high ground, can completely change how your game plays out. So let me give you a quick rundown on when you should play each layer. If you have 400 to 800 materials as a trio, you should be sticking to mid ground. If you're running on less than 400 builds as a trio, it's time to drop to low and start to work your way to getting a refresh on desperate teams. If you're stacked with over 800 materials, always elevate yourself in mid ground and keep an eye on height for opportunities. It's very important to understand that mid ground itself has its own sublayers. For example, a trio with 400 to 500 builds should be on the lowest mid ground layer, aka one layer above low ground, and should be looking down on teams that are more shambles. If you have more than 800 materials, you should be looking to climb up to the mid ground, get yourself 1 to 2 layers below height so you can have a good perspective of what height's doing and attempt to find the right time to take it. Tip number 4, high ground. High ground is one of the most powerful positions in Fortnite. Holding high ground gives you control over the entire lobby, but taking it is often the hardest part. Let's first talk about how to hold high ground. To hold high ground, you need to be spamming 2 metal cones ahead early in moving zones, building as far out as you can in storm to let the metal build over time before you actually step on it. First moving zones, you should add metal floors as an extra layer, as the first moving zone covers a much further distance, and this is the most common times that teams will look to take height. Doing this also prevents teams from chopping you out as you wait to connect the teams below you. Now, let's talk about how to take high ground if you don't have it. When taking high ground, you need to identify the weaknesses on a team that is currently holding it. You should always be looking for clues and cues that can make taking high ground easy. If the team on height is using wood or is hardly tarping at all, that's a great sign that they are running low on mats. If a team on height is hardly spraying, that could mean that they're either inexperienced or simply have no ammo. This means that you'll be able to take high ground easily, knowing that they won't be able to pressure you as you build up. When you're looking to execute a high ground take, you should always be working as a team. The perfect execution for taking high ground is simple. All you need to do is position 2 players in front to spray upwards, while the third player delays or flanks from behind. It's important to know, when you're doing this, you should be looking to build up and away, making sure that you're not going straight up. This is going to give the team that you're taking high ground from a platform to connect and potentially stall the high ground fight, which is going to get you cleaned up from the second height team. Tip number 5, low ground. Let me say this clearly, low ground wins tournaments. It's just a fact, and it's why you see so many top tier teams prioritizing it. Taking low ground is simple. You either need to pull zone yourself or capitalize on teams in front of you that are struggling to stay in front and hold low ground effectively. This is the greatest part about low ground. Even if there's a team on it, they could quickly find themselves losing it if their teammate gets hit weak or if they have to revive their teammate in the endgame. This is the perfect time to cut in front of the existing low ground team who's struggling. Now let's talk about how to actually hold low ground once you've taken it. When holding low ground, build a 2-wide metal tarp using cones to control the space above you and give your teammates the easiest edits to drop players down or get shots on teams above you. You should be doing it just like this. Tarping like this minimizes the angles your opponents have to pressure you because you're claiming a lot of space, and it maximizes your ability for your teammates to find refreshes along the way. Tip number 6, in-game efficiency. In-game is where most games are won or lost, and maximizing efficiency during this stage can make all the difference. You've spent the whole match getting materials, rotating perfectly, and tagging teams up along the way. Don't waste it now by playing sloppy. Make sure your IGL always has enough materials to keep leading the team. Anytime there's a pause in the tarp, drop extra mats to the IGL so they're ready for the next rotate. Second, you need to have consistent loadouts in your trio. As we talked about earlier, the support player should always carry heals like minis and medkits, so everyone knows exactly where to go if you need it. Third, the fragger should stay close to the IGL to help be able to clear layers if needed. A great way to move as a fragger in the tarp is backwards. Keep moving forward and sticking together while looking backwards for opportunity. Fourth, the support player's role is to block off the back of the tarp, protect against sneaky teams, and help the fragger get refreshes when needed. You should still be looking for refreshes yourself, but if the fragger calls for something, you should trust his call and go with him. As the support player, you're the safety net for your team. Lastly, always communicate clearly. Endgame can be chaotic, but staying organized will help your team make better decisions and avoid costly mistakes. Tip number 7, fighting together. One of the biggest mistakes trios make is fighting too far apart. When you split up, it's easy to get picked off, and that puts your whole team at a disadvantage. Fighting together doesn't mean standing in the same box. It means staying close enough to support each other and be able to pinch players from multiple angles. You need to always be moving as a unit. If one player pushes, the rest should be ready to follow or help provide cover. Do not forget to practice fighting as a team. You can do this in creative maps, scrims, or wagers. The more you practice, the better your team chemistry will be. If you want to get better at fighting together, you need to study other pro teams. Watching how they fight, compare your trio to them, and cross-analyze what your team would do versus what they're doing. Look at how they position themselves and how they finish fights quickly. There's always something you can learn from the best players. It's very important to communicate during fights. Call out enemy positions, what type of guns they have, and what skins are weak after you do damage. Clear communication can turn a close fight into an easy win. Tip number 8, pre-edits. Pre-edits is something that every trio should have mastered. When done right, it can give your team a huge advantage and give you a great way to get easy kills and stay as stacked as possible in the endgame. First, you need to decide what pre-edit your team will use. There's only a handful of useful pre-edits to use, so let me show you exactly what you should be doing and when. Don't forget to discuss your pre-edit play as a trio beforehand to make sure everyone is on the same page when going for a refresh. Second, look for pre-edit opportunities when your opponents are distracted or unaware of your position. If they're focused on another team, that is your chance to get your pre-edits ready and start spraying as a team. It's important to know when you're pre-editing a team. One person holds the pre-edit and the other two are constantly spraying. Don't even pull out your shotgun until it becomes a face-to-face duel. If you stop spraying too early, you're going to give the advantage to the other team who is holding their builds, trying to stop you from making a pre-edit play on them. Third, remember you don't need to force pre-edit plays, especially if the enemy is holding their walls. Better to reset, wait for the next chance, and avoid unnecessary risk. The last thing that I want to mention here is pre-edits take practice. You and your team are not going to be instantly the best at using them. It takes coordination, preparation, and the more you use them, the faster and more effective your pre-edit plays will become. Tip number 9, Storm Surge. Storm Surge is one of the toughest mechanics in competitive Fortnite. If your team doesn't get enough damage, you'll get punished and will likely be quickly back in the lobby. First, let's talk about how to base for Storm Surge in trios. Setting yourself up in high visibility spots for surge tags is extremely important. Keep in mind that the player render distance is 300 meters, so if you're looking for players outside of this range, you won't see them. Second, you need to be training your aim on the regular. If you can't hit your shots, you'll struggle to get the damage you need for Surge. A great map to play for Surge aim is Raider's 1v1 aim duel or his mechanics map, D5. Third, avoid sitting still while tagging players. This one may seem obvious, but I see it more often than not. Always try to move side to side, crouch, and stay unpredictable to make it harder for your opponents to hit back. One thing you need to understand when it comes to movement is how other players see you. I hate to say it, but if you're hitting all your shots on the opponent and he isn't hitting you, he is going to eventually stop looking your way. It's important to find the balance between trading with teams near you, but also not giving them more damage than you're getting on them. Fourth, you need to understand when to trade for Surge. Sometimes, taking a bit of damage is worth it to secure the tags your team needs, but always make sure you have enough heals to recover. Never use more heals than you have spare, and always keep in mind what your team has to be able to request the right heals from your teammates when needed. Finally, communication is key during Surge. Be sure to constantly be counting your damage to have a good estimate of how much Storm Surge you need going forward. And that's it. Those are my 9 pro tips for dominating in trios in Fortnite Competitive. If there's any questions or something that I may have missed, drop a comment below. We're on the path to 100K. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so you don't miss more tips and strategies for competitive Fortnite. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.